All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the 3Calcioteers. It's actually 2 Calcioteers for tonight. Francesco's not with us this evening. And wow, once again, Italy's going off to the finals. And Ellie and I are looking at it, scratching our heads, our noggins, and saying, wow, we actually did it. Few things we want to touch up on before we talk about today's big game. Let's rewind a little bit to the Austria game. And we're both kind of still scratching heads like, why did Mancini play Bastoni? Ellie, if you want to take over there and kind of lay out your kind of mismatch, your frustrations in regarding on that kind of defensive hiccup there when it came to Mancini.
And when I speak here, it's all going to make sense because the reasoning behind all this applies not only to the Belgian game, but to today's game and the Spain game and potentially to the final. Because, like I said last week, it's like when you're a great manager, it comes down to not the mismatch that are obvious that are in front of your face, but it's the ones that you can't see. The reason all the all-time great managers have those moments is because they're able to figure something out to propel a team that may be less talented than the other, or et cetera, to that place. So when I say this about Austria, I think Mancini's a very good coach. And I think he deserves to play. He deserves to coach Italy, but I've never been a part of the group that thinks he's one of the best coaches in the tournament, or who thinks he's. I mean, some people are calling him the Messiah, which is fair, I guess, because of his results. But I think something that people aren't realizing is if you look back at the 2018 team that didn't make the World Cup, if you look at the actual team, it wasn't very good to begin with. So. Like the squad wasn't that talented. It had some good players in it, and we should have made the World Cup. But it wasn't like low. It wasn't like they weren't loaded top for bottom. This Italian side is one of the most talented we have seen in a long time. So Mancini does get credit, but we can't ignore the fact that we have like a lot of really talented players that are under the age of 25, and then we have the ones who didn't play. Or didn't make the squad, like Zaniolo, who's 22, like Moise Kean, who's in his early 20s, Mancini, who's in his early 20s. So this is the most talented Italian side than probably since 2006. So Mancini gets the credit here, but you also have to put it all in perspective because, yes, it's not an easy job, but you also have all these weapons in front of you. It's like having all the sort of spending in a transfer window. And winning, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's impressive, but so I don't want to take it away, but I just want to make sure everybody knows about it. So in the Austria game, here's the big one, right? So this is a game where Italy played really poorly for most of the game. They ended up getting it at the end, and it was an amazing moment in the end with extra time and stuff like that. First goal, Austria score, taken away by the guy who's going to sign for Bologna. The guy. I forgot his name.
Donovic there, whatever his
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
So he scores, and again, I'm just gonna be honest. I think it was onside. I think it should have been called onside. It was like offside by a millimeter, if anything. Mm-hmm. So I think that should have stood. And if it wasn't for VAR, Italy would be sitting at home right now. That's just the way it is. Obviously, Italy doesn't count. Italy scoring extra time and et cetera, et cetera. So two things. Mancini is a fool and Austria is a fool at the same time. So Austria has a 6'7" guy playing for Stuttgart, who I thought he was only 6'2", because I thought that was a big mismatch in that game. That's why I talked about putting Bastoni on him to close space. He's 6'7", which makes the whole thing 100% worth. He enters in the 97th minute, which is crazy. Why would you wait that long to put him on? Because I was watching the game, I'm like, okay, Bastoni's not playing, but dude's not on, so I'm not really worried about it. But then he comes on, right? And in that moment, to not put Bastoni on immediately, I think is stupid. If I saw that guy's just warming up, I said, Bastoni, get moving, get warm, because like you said before, Chiellini and Bonucci are really good players, but they're slow and old. So they're not going to have they're not going to have the athleticism to keep up with a guy who's 6'7", who's I think outside of Andre Silva had the second most headers in the Bundesliga, is one of the most athletic strikers that we have in German football right now. And because you have all that. If he was slow, if he was like a Dzeko slow or something like that, that'd be one thing. But he's fast and he can do all these other things. And it's not just headers. He can lift balls into the net from outside the box, beating goalkeepers like Donnarumma. And then, so he comes in, right? And in the extra time after Italy scored their goals on the corner kick, which is the craziest part, not one, not two, not three, but 4 Italians went with him. He had about a millimeter of space. So he had very little, not only space, but he had to accurately place it in the exact right spot. He was surrounded by Italian, not defenders, but they were defending the corner, and he still found enough space to connect his header and beat Donnarumma. The thing is, if he plays from the start or from 50-minute onwards, and Bastoni doesn't get in there, you have a problem because Austria wins. The thing is, Italy won the game, so it's like, okay, great, it worked. But Bastoni, for him not to even, the issue isn't the fact that they won or lost. It's that how did Mancini not, figure that one out? Because it's usually about great managers figure out the complicated ones. But if you can't figure out the simple ones, how are you going to figure out stuff that's not in front of his face? And for him not to make that move in that moment is why you always have to have a little bit of concerning factor, especially when you go into the Belgian game against a guy like Lukaku. That one's obvious as well. And then you go into the Spain game with the issues they had tonight, and then you have the final, whether it's Denmark or England. There's going to be mismatches that he needs to figure out that aren't obvious. So my whole thing about that is if he can't figure out the obvious one, how is he going to figure out the complicated one? So Italy win that game. Congratulations. It was awesome. A great moment, especially to win in that extra time, a tough game. But it just, I don't know. The fact that he couldn't figure that out, I still have a little bit of concern as far as Mancini. The team is good enough, but Mancini, I think he dropped the ball on that one because other circumstances, Italy would have lost it. And if they would have lost that game, it would have been because of Mancini. And I'm not saying that they would do it. I think that's a fireable offense if they lose that game. So in a weird way, Chiesa saved his bacon in that game, just because if you go on to lose that in extra time or you lose on penalties or whatever the case may be, and you didn't even make that mismatch, the one that needed to be made, he would be taking most of the blame for that. But they get out of it, but you just gotta think about what's he gonna do now? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird because it's like I found this new respect for Mancini. Like I've said it before, like with him bringing up this squad out of pretty much nowhere. This is not the Inter Mancini. This isn't the Inter Mancini that has been taking orders from the players, and it got to a point where it's a father-son relationship between Mancini and the squad. And yes, there's mishaps and stuff like that. The whole Bastoni situation, after seeing today's game and the Belgian game, the luck of Chiellini and Bonucci has run out. He needs to make that decision and say, listen, who am I going to substitute one of these guys for Bastoni? He needs to play Bastoni next game. He has to, because after seeing today, the non-nos, Bonucci and Chiellini, they can't do it anymore. You can tell they were gassed. I mean, kudos to Bonucci to making the penalty and whatever, but they were gassed. And it was funny with the Belgian game. Belgium were sneaky. We didn't care about Hazard. It was Kevin De Bruyne, which we were kind of worried about. And I was talking to a buddy of mine and stuff like that, and we're saying, like, watch, Belgium are going to say that Kevin De Bruyne is hurt, but last minute, just to fuck with their tactics or just to mind fuck us, they're going to say, oh, no, he's good to go. And sure enough, what happened that morning, he was in training. And the thing what I loved the most was Mancini said, I welcome it. I welcome to go in the field. We're not scared. We'll take him on. It wasn't like a dead silence. You didn't hear anything bad coming from Mancini or good. He was just neutral. Let's do it. And it happened. They isolated De Bruyne. They isolated Lukaku. The thing I didn't like about Lukaku, though, was so stupid. He was going like this to Donnarumma, like shutting him up. It's like, come on, man. Like, what the frig? You're down 2-1. And you're doing this, like.
In fairness, it was the first half, and they're not going to play against each other anymore. So, it was basically saying, all of our meetings, I've won this because I've scored every single time. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just like what? Like I was hoping more from obviously opposing side. I was hoping more from Lukaku. Obviously, he was isolated. The isolated Kevin De Bruyne.
But
really,
they did
really well.
They didn't isolate Doku. The
Doku. That was about to say.
he was the
Doku,
one. If
that was the guy.
if Eden Hazard played, I think Italy would have won it easier because that dude gave him so many damn problems.
Oh yeah.
And I'm thinking somebody's gonna scoop him up this summer because
Yeah.
he plays in France
For
somewhere.
Rennes.
Yeah, and he used to play for Anderlecht. Somebody's gonna get him on a cup price because he was so good in that game. And that last chance late against Donnarumma, the one from outside the box,
Yeah.
it was within range of if he hit it just with less power, but just hitting it over, that could have been checkmate as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you think that was a penalty between him and De Lorenzo there, or do you think it was all momentum?
No,
He flew.
He did, but so when I saw it, I was like, I kind of get it, but I kind of don't. I need to take. So after the game, I took another look before I formulated my opinion, and I watched the YouTube video, but I put it on like on playback speed at slow motion.
Yeah.
There is a little push coming from the momentum of Di Lorenzo, but he does stick out like his body, so that forces. He flies. He flew like he shot at the cannon.
He flew, man.
But it's one of these things. There was contact to do that, so it wasn't like if he starts moving before there's contact, that's something different. But there was contact between the two of them, so I thought the penalty was fine. I think it's a soft penalty, but a penalty is a penalty in the end.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately the right choice there, but luckily Italy didn't collapse in the second half.
Yeah, and it was weird. I didn't like the ref one bit, and it was funny. It was like, okay, dude, you're going 2 minutes now. After the 5-minute extra time or 6-minute extra time, whatever it was, and everyone, even Chiellini was like signaling. It was like, Fischke, let's go, come on, yeah, let's go. And the guy's just standing there. I'm like, let's go, man, because like Belgium had that little inch of space left. Like they had the little juice left. I'm like, watch, they're gonna fucking tie. We're fucked. Like, I knew. I was like, man, like you better blow that whistle or else I'm gonna burn down your house.
Well, I think maybe he saw Immobile's little stunt and he said, you know what, screw you guys. I'm gonna make this difficult.
Yes, Immobile. Okay, okay.
Go ahead, you go first. I'm gonna let you crack on this one. I have a lot to say about this.
I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed when I saw that. Like, I mean, like not only did with the stat that you said over the course of the CDI season, him not scoring for the 700 whatever minutes and everything like that, and then like him adding to this, it's like this is why it's hard for me being a Lazio fan too, especially an international fan, to take him seriously because there's times where he sparks and he has these moments, but there's times where it's like he's falling like a sack of potatoes. He's looking to, like he did the famous Sergio Busquets dive years ago, and you see Sergio Busquets look up a little bit and smile, like, and it kind of reminded me of that. And I'm like, Immobile, like, please don't be that guy. And so when I saw that, I was like ready to turn off the game a little bit just because I was little embarrassed. So I didn't really like that. Everyone's like, no,
I thought he should have been just drop him. I was like, just on your way back to Rome, drop him off at the airport and leave with the rest of the team. Like
Napoli can have him.
It's so embarrassing because
it is.
Italians always make fun of English players for doing exactly the same thing, and we gave them so much bulletin board material for the rest of the tournament. Regardless, we don't know what's going to happen, but it could be England, Italy. So it's just like the thing is, when he dropped, it looked like someone just threw a dead body out of a car. and then Barella scores, and then he gets up like nothing. It was so embarrassing, and I don't know why people do this, but I don't think clubs. I get what you're saying with your point of view on the Lazio thing, but I don't like the club officiation with the team when the Euros are going on. No one plays for anybody. The clubs do not matter. I see people celebrating the fact that Serie A had more man of the match awards than anybody, which I'm happy about. But it doesn't matter because those are not right now. Those aren't Serie A players. Those are national team players.
Got more goals, do they not?
Yeah, they've. After the tournament, you want to talk about how great Serie A players did. Fair enough. But while this is going on, while they're still in the competition, who they play for is totally irrelevant. That's why when Spinazzola has been balling, I've not said anything about Roma. I just said Spinazzola has been amazing. I didn't say my Spinazzola has been amazing. So I don't like the fact that people, when this has happened, it's like, and again, with the Lazio thing, it's just like, some people saying, oh yeah, of course the Lazio players do that, right? And others are just saying it's just stupid. When you see those 11, none of them play for Serie A. They don't play for Napoli. They don't play for Roma. They don't play for Juve. They don't play for any of them. They play right now. The only teams those 11 play for are the Italian national team. That's it. So it's just stupid that people are trying to take credit, like the clubs are taking credit for the international players being a success. And I just think that's part of it. But just the way he handled it, he just lied down there and then got up and Barella scores and does his. I like Barella as a player, but as a personality, he just gets on my nerves.
A baby, like
doesn't he have? I don't know. This might be messed up, but he has the most punchable face out of anyone I've ever seen.
He does. When he smiles, he looks like not Chucky, but there's a kid like with the meme or what. I'll send it to you when I find it. But like,
yeah,
I at this tournament, I thought, okay, I'll forget about his interways. Let me like him in Italy, and something about him. He's irritable. He's immature. Like, I'm surprised he hasn't got a red card yet. There's been moments where because he's got a short fuse. Like, we've seen it at Inter.
Yeah.
But like, there's moments where like, oh, is he gonna get a card? Is he gonna get this? So there's moments. Well, he's been like behaving a little bit, but like, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, I'm not a big fan of him either. I just don't think that.
I think he's a fantastic player.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm not thinking
unbelievable.
Yeah, personality-wise, I think that
two issues I have is his personality is an issue, and the other thing is, people start saying he's the top 3 midfielder in the world. I don't know about that.
I wouldn't say that.
I can think of 2 on Bayern that are better than him. So he's at least third or worse. So you look at all of it, and I think the fact that he plays for Inter, I think saves him from backlash, that because Immobile gets backlash because not only that, but because he's not really delivered in the way he's supposed to in the Italian shirt regularly. He had a good group stage, but after that it's kind of melted down. But the reason Barella gets away with murder is because he plays in Italy. If he was playing for PSG or Chelsea and he had the same attitude and the same everything, there would be a very divided debate on how we view him. Just like there is with Jorginho and Verratti, which is the dumbest. I think it's just the dumbest thing ever, because to me, those are the 2 best players, and I think it's pretty obvious that those are the 2 best players. Mm-hmm. But the reason they're not like celebrated is because they're not in Italy. And so if Barella was playing for, I don't know,
Liverpool,
Man United, Liverpool, most Italians hate those 2 clubs anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
People would be raging that he's starting these games because he's not played well for the most part. And you look at even today's game, how different they look without Spinazzola, and some of the other decisions that kind of been made. And it's just like, I think Barella's a really good player. I think he's fantastic. At one point in time, this top 3 midfield in the world will be true. But I think you just kind of need to keep everything in perspective, because he's done a great job in the Belgium game, but outside of that, he hasn't had a performance from like, oh, that's fantastic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nothing too. And I don't know. I even 2 different positions, of course, but like I picked Insigne over him. Just, I don't know, something about Insigne just kind of gives him that spark. But obviously 2 different positions, 2 different arguments in that sense. But I mean, it is what it is. I hope he's not that much injured. But speaking of, I mean, anything else we want to say to the Belgian game before we move on to the Spain game? Any more points?
No, I think it was a really good performance. I wasn't expecting them to win that game. I thought Belgium was going to take it. I think Italy played really well. In that game, Mancini got it right. They were able to neutralize Lukaku. It's just a little inconsistency with that. As far as Mancini goes on that game, I think he's got the team playing together. So whatever I think about his tactical stuff, I think the Belgium game kind of proved that because in the second half, Belgium were really pushing, and it just looked like they were going to break through. They were able to handle the whole situation. I thought the subs were pretty decent. Belgium. The only thing I'll say about Belgium is the golden generation. They've been talking about this for 10 years or whatever. This is a big reason why I thought Belgium were going to win. It was the mentality part. That the thing is that game was their last chance to win anything because they're not winning the Cup. That was their last chance, and it was kind of like it was the stage was set for them to finally win the Euros. Maybe it's because they hired Roberto Martinez as manager. Maybe it's something else. But all these young players that they used to have back in the day, they're not young. They're all old now. So I think they missed an opportunity. I think this is they're more successful than the England golden generation from back in the day, where they didn't. I don't think they even made a semifinal. But I think as far as from the Belgian point, it's just like this was their last shot, and then they just it's over now. Lukaku will be back in those guys, and maybe they make quarterfinals of the World Cup. But they're not in my head. They're not one of those teams that I think in 2022 are going to be one of the guys who are going to go and get it. And so I think Belgium died right then and there in that. And it, it just comes back to that last chance that they had, or last couple of chances. Donnarumma did great, but I think Mancini got it right, and that was much more convincing than the Austria game, which doesn't make any sense. But.
It should be the other way around for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That back line alone, though, like except for Meunier, like who plays for Dortmund, I think he's 29. He's got a few more years into it, but you got Vermaelen, which when I saw Vermaelen in the starting 11, I was like, this guy plays for Kobe in the J League, and he's old as shite. How is this guy on the team? You got Vermaelen, you got Vertonghen, who plays for Benfica, and then you got Toby Alderweireld.
Yeah, he's good. I think he's good, but they're all
old. Like they're old. They're old. Like they're great, outstanding guys. Like I think Vertonghen still has a little. He's got that beast in him that helps him and stuff like that. And Toby's really good too. Vermaelen just random in there. They had no other options. That's it. That whole back line's finished. Like they have to restart from scratch. De Bruyne is pushing 30, which again they'll probably squeeze another 3 years out of that guy. Axel Witsel, 32, 33. You got Martins that came in freaking. Yeah, exactly. You got Martins that came in was 33, 34. He's just a backup. He's not a starter anymore. So yeah, they're finished. So it's really I wanted Belgium to win a cup somewhere and somehow. Yeah. Just to say like, hey, like this was the team. So we can remember them by because it's gonna be tough to remember them now. We're like, oh, remember that Belgium squad? Which Belgium squad? The one that lost World Cup and Euros and whatever the case may be. It's gonna be
nobody
tough.
remembers that. It's like if you think of like all the Champions League winners and then the Euro finals, we don't like when we talk about some of these stories in Euros, we don't really remember who got second, who was the runners up.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when I think of like Denmark in '92, which was the reason I think of that one. When you think of 04 in Greece, you think of it because there's a Ronaldo storyline attached into it. Mm-hmm. But if Ronaldo wasn't on the team, we wouldn't even remember who they played. So it's just like, yes, this Denmark team, this Belgium team did decently well. They made the semifinal of the World Cup. They probably could have won that there. And then they made the semifinal of the Euros, and then they made the quarterfinals, and then made the quarterfinals again. But they never really looked like a team that was going to go on and win it. Mm-hmm. I don't think we'll remember this era fondly. Mm-hmm. Individually, we will because we'll look at the Hazard brothers, look at Lukaku, look at all these guys who kind of made their name for themselves. But on a team standpoint, we're just not going to remember them the same. Mm-hmm. That's why every time there's a talented team, you got to win something, or it's just not good enough. Even if you make a final and lose. Mm-hmm. They only remember the winners in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Croatia being a prime example for that too. So now talking about the last game that we just watched today, the Spain-Italy. Coming into this, obviously we're confident. After that Morata scored that goal, though, I was like, this is the Ventura Italy. They came back to haunt us. I couldn't believe it. Like. For yourself, Elliot, coming into the game, was there anything that you kind of disagreed with? Again, would you have put Bastoni in instead of either Chiellini or Bonucci? Would you start with Locatelli? What was your kind of mindset going into? Obviously, it was a win, but coming into this game, what would you have done if you were Mancini in that sense?
I wanted Bastoni because I was worried about like Italy has a great midfield, and I've said this a long time, but Spain's midfield is pretty fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And I was afraid that when they got into the box, they'd be able to cut through because at the end, the last 10 minutes of extra time, they just crowded people around the box, so Spain couldn't get anything inside. I was worried that they're going to catch someone off guard, and then Spain was just going to hit you because that's what happened in the not in the Switzerland game, but in the Croatia game. After they conceded, they scored a bunch of goals really easily based on getting into the midfield. So I was worried that the speed of Bonucci and Chiellini wasn't going to be enough. I would have started Locatelli. Who did Barella started, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I probably would have dropped Barella for Locatelli personally because even though Locatelli's technically a defensive midfielder, he scored a bunch of goals in this tournament already. He can push forward if he needs to.
Yeah.
I just think it gives you more stability because if you look at like an individual battle, Barella's never going to win an individual battle with the type of midfield that Spain have.
Yeah.
Because he can't overpower what, for example, Pedri. Pedri was, Pedri, I don't know what the rule is with these star of the match, but apparently you can't. You can only give it to the winners because I could think of 3 or 4 of those that have been given out that definitely they weren't the best player. And I don't want to be mean. It feels wrong to give a star of the match thing to an Italian player because they just didn't play well. But I thought that if in the midfield, they were, potentially Locatelli could have done a better job there. I wouldn't have. Mobley started, right? I think so. So I probably wouldn't have played him. I probably would have played someone else for this game because I think he's just not played well the last couple of games. Outside the group stage, he was good in the group stage, but after when the pressure came on, he started collapsing, just like Lazio, right as they're marching towards Champions League.
One, two.
Kind of, because
I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one.
It was low hanging fruit. I had to go with it, man. But I didn't really have a huge problem with any of the team selection, but they were awful.
Yeah,
the performance was so bad.
Yeah, it was really bad.
I was thinking about because as the game was going on, because you know how I've been against the parades that have been thrown every game. I was thinking to myself whether I was okay with them celebrating, and I couldn't figure it out because they were playing terribly. I was okay with them selling a Belgium because you get to a semifinal, you've done what you're supposed to do. Because I think a lot of Italian media members and fans are trying to create this narrative that everyone had Italy going out in the group and no one thought they were going to do anything, which I think is totally stupid. I think most people had them in the quarterfinals. So some people had them in the semis and a few people had them winning. And I'm just talking mutual people. Mm-hmm. But in the semifinal, it's like, okay, you came here and you did what you were supposed to, celebrate. But after performing that badly and still winning, it's like, okay, let me just wave a few Italian flags and go inside because it's I don't know. It's a tough one because I thought they played really bad. I thought that when Morata scored, I'm like, oh, it's over, dude. And then both times extra time and the last part of it, Italy were just defending with everything they have. They weren't even trying to do anything. They were escaping death basically. And it's classic Italian defensive stuff and fair play. They've done a good job. They're not this Italian team is really talented, but they're not a very visually pleasing team to watch. You could fall asleep watching them, in certain situations where they don't get forward enough. They don't because Spain just pressed the entire game and they ran through the midfield and all this other stuff. And you have Donnarumma being the hero again. But the crazy thing is at halftime, Sergio Busquets had more passes. Sergio Busquets and Donnarumma had more passes than the entire Italian midfield. So you look at that, it was like Busquets had 36, Donnarumma had 34, and the combined the midfield had like 33. But it's just like, But then they get into the penalty shootout and they deliver. And I knew that that's the only way they were going to win because the way Spain was playing them. It was just, to put it, they didn't show up to the way they were supposed to. If they play like that again, just go home. Just shut down that marketplace. that you celebrate over there. And if they win, I'll celebrate with y'all. But if they play like that again, it doesn't matter who they play in the final. Denmark may not be on paper the greatest team in the world, but you can think of 5, 6, 7 players on that team that have those qualities and have proven to be good in this tournament, even without Eriksson. And then England also, we don't like them, but they're loaded. So if you play like that against either one of those teams, they'll go home. So Mancini has a big job to kind of adjust, but it was a horrible performance, and it blows my mind that they can play that badly, be outplayed in every possible way, and still win.
Yeah, and it's the fans too. It's like, yeah, I still don't know Italian player's name on the team, but I'm still celebrating. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's moments like that. It's like, okay, guys, like, take it down a notch. Now it's like these are the big games now. This is the final. Again, celebrate. That's cool, whatever. But like, at least admit that it was like people. Like I've heard on the streets, like I was watching Instagram lives and people were saying this was their best game. It was so good. I'm like, what the hell? You're not gonna take off that jersey right now. Please stop. It was. I was nervous. Like especially when Insigne like did that topple over and he had to get substituted off. I'm like, oh no. Like, oh frig. Like that's it. Like, and so
And Chiesa's goal fell out of the fucking sky. It wasn't like
from the gods.
Yeah, it wasn't like he did something crazy and then he did something crazy, but the ball got to him because of the way it just happened to fall to him. And the thing is, I was commenting on some posts and people like, Italy deserved this. They were fantastic. This was an awesome game. And I'm like, I got in one argument today. I'm just gonna not even entertain that. But this was bad, and I don't see how you can give the man of the match to any Italian player. They were terrible. Donnarumma was really good, made some big saves, but like
he was scared though. Come to the penalty shots. Sirigu came up to him and he's like whispering because Donnarumma knows he's not very good at PKs. Like, yeah, okay, this one, I didn't say he got lucky, but like he managed to get through it. But he knows deep down, and you could tell by his face, like, we are fucked. If we go into penalty shootouts, we're fucked. I can't see for shit. Like, I can, but like PKs, forget about it. Like, you know what I mean? So
and he had a great tournament and he's continued to do so. But I don't know. There are parts of Donnarumma where the pressure moments sometimes get to him, and even in this tournament when they didn't concede, Donnarumma has done some things to put himself in harm's way. Yeah. And again, I don't want to stir the pot even more, but this is why Keylor Navas is still going to be at PSG and why he will be the starter. Again, Donnarumma will play a lot of games. He'll play he'll play a lot of the league games. He'll play less important Champions League games and cup games. So it's not when he goes to PSG, he's going to be playing a good amount of games. Yeah. But you're crazy if Navas is the starter there because I know this is a little off topic, but this is why a lot of people are that are actually saying this. The people that are pushing back are Italian fans that want Donnarumma to play every single game. Because if you look at the things in the shootouts that he has been in and the pressure moments he has been in, when somebody puts the ball down 12 yards out in front of Navas, he doesn't care. He's like, all right, bring it on, brother. And so there are moments where Donnarumma gets that nervousness, and this is why year one in Paris, he will not be the starter. I will make a bet with anyone that that's not the case unless Navas leaves. Year two, he'll become the guy, so the move will be worth it. But this is one of the reasons why Donnarumma in that team is probably a number 2 at least for one season, because when he was walking up to each kick, he looked scared. He looked like, okay, you know what I mean? So and he's been fantastic, and he's gonna have a great career in Paris. But it's just like there was little moments, or like you can tense that he was stressed out when he started going up, which I thought maybe they should have made a goal switch before the shootout, but it seemed to work out. But there was definitely some pressure and some that he was not comfortable with.
Yeah, I mean, goals. I don't know if Sirigu would have played a little bit more, and like if Sirigu didn't get like 7 goals past in that one game. I know it was early on in the season, but like if Meret was like somewhat decent enough, but like I think I get what you're saying. I just think that Mancini had no other options. He's like, what the fuck do I do? I got a guy who used to be good. He had that little spurt of moment, but he let like 21 goals in the last 3 games of the season. Then I got this one guy who plays for Napoli, has his spurts moments too, but he's trash. So
He's
I
trash.
have to go with this.
But I just to play devil's advocate, he can save penalties though, because
Okay, true.
he has the record of I mean, not perfect, but
no.
good, decent. Again, I would not have pulled him either, but how nervous he looked concerned me.
Yeah, like super nervous.
Dude, if we get into a penalty shootout in the final, we're screwed, man.
Oh, this guy's gonna like shit his pants or something. Like he's gonna have like he's gonna have a heart attack.
He's progressed so much in the last couple of years. I saw him play maybe a couple of years ago in an international friendly against Chelsea.
Yeah.
And with the back passes that he does to the defense, he was almost always, giving the ball away in those areas. And he's better with that control wise. When the pressure's on in game time, he usually is able to live up to it. But the penalty stuff, he didn't. It wasn't like Unai Simon against Switzerland saving 3 penalties. It was just like Spain took some terrible kicks. And it kind of benefited Donnarumma because Donnarumma didn't. He saved 1, but it wasn't a great penalty to begin with. He just about got through it, which is I'm happy, but I don't want to be getting a penalty shootout in the final.
No. I think that was their only saving grace. I think that was their one-hit goal, and that was it. I don't think we can get another chance with the penalties at all. Excuse me. Talk about penalties make me tired. But yeah. So now, last thing before we log off here, let's talk about potential final games. Sorry, for a second, I thought England was going to beat Denmark, but the game hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So let's say whoever it is, I mean, who we starting? I mean, if we start from the back, I mean, we won't go into depths of the players, whatever. We'll just start picking shoes or whatever. But I think it's going to be similar of what we were talking about the Belgian game.
Yeah.
But this game coming in, so let's say this game coming in, who are you going to pick? Who are you going to take? Are you going to take Chiellini or Bonucci? Right away, we know Bastoni's going. Like, that's a given. Who are you going to take between the two? Are you going to take Toucan Sam? Or are you going to take Bocconcini Bonucci? Like, which one are you going to take at this point?
I'll probably take Chiellini because of the experience and because Bonucci can get sent off easier.
Okay.
I think, and because, and I don't want to be sentimental, I don't know if he's playing in the World Cup. You have to start Chiellini at least because this might be his last dance, so to speak. I think Chiellini's better than Bonucci, but I think as far as age and as far as speed, neither one of them are very quick. This will be a perfect time to have Gianluca Mancini on the bench, but Mancini doesn't like Mancini.
That's crazy. So. Yeah, he's not there. Yeah.
Oh. It seems like he's gonna get a new contract with Roma, and they'll bump his pay, so he'll get over it. But I think this kind of stuff like this is why I didn't understand why that Mancini didn't bring Politano, Keane, or Mancini, because all 3 of those players could have made a contribution here and in the in the final. And if you bring Raspadori, who's
respiratory system, the guy freaking made one appearance. Fucking guy was a water boy.
Yeah. So but I'd probably go Chiellini, but I feel like he's gonna start both of them. But I think
if he starts both of them, oh man, I told you every time. I'm either flipping a bowl of pasta or I'm throwing a Nutella sandwich at the TV. And Danielle, if you're listening or you're watching, she'll appreciate that for sure. But I'm going to be pissed because, again, your luck is run out with the both of them. You have to make an adjustment. You have to.
I might empty my bank and just put it all on the other team if that happens. So I think that will happen. But I think that if you take one, you take Chiellini because more experience. He's a leader. He's captain, right?
Yeah. Bonucci's the vice, but right. Chiellini's like the number one.
I think Bonucci as being the sole center back of his age, I don't think the guys will respond to him as well as a leader as Chiellini.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if, again, knock on wood, hope it doesn't happen. But if whoever, England or Denmark, whether it's Harry Kane or Yusuf Poulsen scores in the first 15 minutes,
Yeah.
if Bonucci is there and no Chiellini, I don't know if he'll have the right leadership to egg on the team to get back into the game or within a crisis where Chiellini's been dealing with this type of thing his whole career. So I'd probably go, but at this point, neither one of them are good choices.
Yeah. Okay, so and then if we move up, because wing backs, we already know with wing backs, it's not much that needs to be done there.
Yeah.
So we go back to midfield. I mean, are we gonna start Locatelli, or I mean, we just discussed about Barella, but are we gonna do the same thing, or we're gonna say, okay, no, it's gonna be Locatelli. You're gonna be there just to hold that defensive line in that sense. And like you said, you made a great point. You can go up, you can score goals and stuff like that. Or just for this game, especially, would you? I mean, forget about what we said about Barella. Just for this game, would you just start Barella and just have it like that? What would you do in that sense?
I mean, I think Barella's phenomenal. I think he's a fantastic player. I just don't trust him in a final with this much on the line. You look at this. So there's a 3 midfield. I would not the lineup the same, but I would position the way they play differently. I would have ideally Locatelli in the middle, just a little ahead of, and then you have you have Jorginho and Verratti back, because I think defensively, you look at Jorginho, incredible hold-up play and all that stuff, and just been that guy for Italy. Again, he plays for Chelsea, so we pretend that he's not had a good like a fantastic tournament. And Verratti, when he's played, he's been fantastic. But again, PSG, so we don't love him. I'm just taking the piss. Don't kill me. Then you put like Locatelli in like slightly in front, where he's in a position where he can do defensive duties, but also has the capabilities to push up, because when he pushed up against, it was either Wales or Switzerland. I don't remember which game. I think it was a Switzerland game. He pushed up in that game a little bit and then scored that great goal and then scored again. So you look at, he has the we've seen him do that. So I would play him forward, and then I'd play Jorginho and Verratti behind. I think Barella maybe you put in that situation, but again, hothead. I don't want a red card in the 7th minute of this game because I don't know. Darmsgrad or Harry Kane, getting under his skin and stuff like that. Also, I don't like how he reacts when things go against Italy referee-wise. Here's the thing, like, I think, what do you think is going to happen? The referee's just going to, oh, sorry, Lord Barella, I will change that call for you.
Yeah, he's going to go like this, like, want me to get you a boost?
He needs to cool it.
Yeah, that, like, what are you doing?
Have Chiellini go yell at the referee.
Yeah, it's funny. I've seen Chiellini do a little bit, but he's a bulldog. He's a bambino. Like, he literally, he's always the first one to go yell at someone. It's like, dude, like, chill, man. Like,
yeah, it's kind of like the guy in Man City from the Ukraine, Zinchenko.
Zinchenko, yeah.
I don't know if you remember this. The first PSG game where they called the penalty and it was called off?
He was losing. He was losing it, bro.
He was in the referee's face, screaming at him, while there's going to be a video review check. Like, I don't know. If I was a referee, I'd be sending off everybody. But I think acting like a petulant child while something's being checked is, I think if you act like that in that situation where there's a review happening, I think you should be able to send them off. So personally, in that game against PSG, I would have sent off Zinchenko just for that reaction. And so there might be some referees that believe that if you act a certain way during a thing like that, that they have it's in their right to send you off. And I don't want Barella. Let's say there's a bogus thing that happens in the first half, and Barella just starts launching at the referee and yelling and screaming, and then the referee gives him a yellow card, and then he commits a foul 20 minutes later. Then you're down to 2 midfielders, and then because of that, you'd have to take off either Jorginho or Verratti because you have no attacking power in that part of the midfield. So if Barella starts and he gets sent off, Jorginho or they'd have to come out, and Pisania would have to come in. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what you have to do if Barella gets sent off. And I just don't know if I trust him not to. Again, he hasn't been sent off yet, but there have been plenty of times where he could have been sent off in his career. So you look at his temperament and his attitude and his aggressiveness. I just don't think you can play with fire, because if you're playing against Denmark or England, two very good teams, and you lose him in that team, you're in trouble.
Now, there was discussion going on with a few people. It's like, the whole striker situation. Now, Immobile got a beach, Belotti got a beach. Like at this point, I've always thought, and like people are saying, why don't we migrate with the false nine with, Insigne being there? Only issue is we have Chiesa on the one side. Who would we put on the other side? Like Pessina could play a wing, but I just see Pessina more as a center.
Berardi probably, because he's played on the wing before, early days.
Berardi, yeah, okay, we could do Berardi, but would that be a not bad approach? Like, would you kind of do that? Because at this point, like with Immobile falling down, you got Belotti not finishing at all. Like Belotti, terrible. Like, yeah, okay, got the penalty, big deal. But I think this is terrible. I think he just terrible tournament he was having. I mean, is that something you think that Mancini would kind of go with right now, in sense of all the stuff that's going on? Because you can't rely on these strikers. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
100%. It's funny. If only you had a 17-goal striker that's playing on a Champions League team that was fantastic last season on your bench, you wouldn't have this problem. This is why you take Moise Kean. Even if he doesn't play until this very moment. This is where you need someone like him. But as it's constructed, I don't feel comfortable with either one.
Yeah.
I would rather play a false nine. And again, injuries have played a part in this. This is the perfect Zaniolo game too, if you think about it, because he can play that false nine too. There's just, I think if you start one, I'll probably start Belotti between the two.
Wow.
Because Immobile's had a gazillion chances to take this tournament over. Belotti's not looked good, but he hasn't. I don't think he started a game. Maybe did he start a game? I don't think so.
Swiss.
Okay, Swiss. But he hasn't had a lot of opportunities to show what he can do. He's been terrible, but it really seems like regardless who you play, you're not going to get a lot of production out of that position. So false nine probably makes the most sense. Who would you play the false nine though? And you said Insigne?
Well, usually the favorite is Insigne. That's the favorite. Insigne.
Yeah.
I was thinking more, what's his nuts there? Chiesa, just because, okay, he's always in that kind of wing position, but sometimes he is caught in that middle. And I feel like he's got more of that physicality aspect, because I wouldn't feel comfortable with Berardi in there. Insigne, yes, but it's still but the physicality there doesn't get me. Like, I'm not confident with that, right?
Right. But the problem is, Insigne is too explosive to be sitting there, because Chiesa is excellent. He's a great player, and he's super athletic on the side. But there's something about Insigne when he has that moment where he explodes down the side, which makes him so dangerous. Like, you look at the goal they scored against in the Belgian game, where he gets that explosion, cuts in, and then curls it.
Yeah.
I think Chiesa is probably I think he's a better player, but on the wing, I think you haven't. I don't think he can have the sense of explosion in the same way that you see with Insigne. Yeah. So I think Chiesa sometimes when he's on the wing, he drifts inside.
That's what I mean. Like, I think
you saw that in
in
the Porto. I mean, this is a different situation, but in the game against Porto in the Champions League, where he scored the first goal in the second game, he goes inside a lot, and that's how he got that goal. And then he comes out and hits it. So I think you can put him there, and he'll be able to sort of operate, where Insigne needs to be on the side, because the burst of speed that he has is more utilized with the wing than the center. And then the problem is, who do you put on the other side? And Berardi seems to be the only answer to that question.
That's the thing. You don't have enough depth in that kind of position, right? Like,
yeah.
And it's Berardi, and again, it's not. It sucks,
it's like
because
This is another reason. Sorry, another thing with Politano. This would be a
It would have
perfect
been
position
perfect.
for
It
that.
would have been perfect. It would have been perfect. So
At this point, we might as well have Sirigu play striker.
yeah, yeah. So that was my I think that if they do the false nine, they should kind of just stay away from that narrative of always putting Insigne, play Chiesa. I mean, Insigne is comfortable on the left side. He can cut in when he wants to. And you have Berardi there as well. And then just Chiesa right there, just spearheading it there. And then he has, that midfield right behind him for anything, whatever. And Locatelli can shoot a mean ball too.
I think he should push up too.
Yes.
If we're scrunched, Locatelli needs to push up.
So as a cam, pretty much
Yeah,
center back
exactly.
mid, and just kind of.
I think he can play both. That's why he's such a big prize in the market right now, is because he's defensive ability, but he can push up, and obviously then you'll have Barella off the bench, assumingly, and you can put him in those situations.
I wouldn't play him at all.
I mean,
I wouldn't. Honestly, I wouldn't. I'd be too scared. Like, if there's an injury and someone's like really, really tired, man, I'd pick Pacina over him just because Pacina he's there, he's accurate, he's more calm.
He's been good actually. He's been very underrated inside this Italian team in this tournament. You're just. The thing is, with this striker situation, it kind of puts Italy in a vulnerable spot, and it's all going to depend on who they line up against, and it's just gonna Mancini's really gonna have to adjust and sort of do this because we're here now, which means we're not winning the World Cup. You can clip that up and put it all over.
You never know though. Like, hey, Spain. I know we're not the same team, but hey, look, Spain did it. Spain did it though.
Okay, but Spain would annihilate this Italy team.
Yeah, I know, of course, but like.
Okay, all I'm saying is this: it is almost impossible to do that. You normally, but now you're having to ask them to do it again a year from now, less than a year from this tournament. So I'm just sticking to my beliefs here. I think that whoever wins this World Cup is eliminated whoever wins the Euros isn't winning the World Cup. That's what I think.
Gets eliminated from the group stage.
It's not group stage. Well, all we know is France is getting eliminated from the group stage because champions always go.
It's the curse.
But I think, okay, I don't say it's impossible, but it's going to be much more difficult to win the World Cup if coming off a Euro because of the lack of time. Not only is everybody going to be ready to cut your head off, but you have less time to sort of prepare your squad. But again, this Italian team is young, so they have. This is why the whole Belgium thing came into play when they played them. Is Belgium has now, Italy has for the next 10 years. So they have enough. They're so young that they're going to be good, for the next 2 World Cups, next 3 World Cups, whatever it is. I just don't think the team that wins this tournament will win the World Cup. You never know. Never say never. And when Denmark if Denmark win the Euros, it'll just be that will be sort of like one of those things. It's like you just never know because we've seen Denmark in '90s, you've seen Greece in 2004. Yeah, we see Spain do what they did, but if you look back at that Spain team, I'm not surprised. But they were nuts. But I think Italy need to just focus on one thing at a time. And again, I know they're having parades already. Please look. Here's another reason: do not mess this up, because if you look at what happened, basically celebrating the way they did every single time, there's going to be some. Who hates Italy? England hates Italy. Germany hates Italy. France probably hates Italy. So now think of the size of those fan bases. They're going to be sharing clips that said, "Remember when Italy won the Euros when they beat Turkey?" They're going to be annihilating it, and IFTV will have to disable for a couple months because of that. So I think we should be happy that we're in the final. We celebrate, but we have the finals on Sunday. Let's not get over ourselves and they have to be focused, because England and Denmark both. When you're in a semifinal, if you get to the final, you have a chance to win it. And I would say you look at the underdogs of the past, the United 2 team. with Denmark and the Greece of '04. This Denmark team is probably better than both those teams. So if those teams can win it or get to the final, whatever you want to say, then Denmark certainly has a chance. And England, as much as we don't like their fans and some of their pundits who've been trashing us all tournament, they are good enough. They're talented enough. And Raheem Sterling has been one of the best players in this tournament. So it's going to be difficult regardless. But as long as we don't play the way we did today, and we play the way we did against Belgium, then I think Italy can win it. But again, I'm not counting out anybody in this situation.
Yeah. No, for sure. Oh, well, okay. That wraps up this episode. I'm excited for the final.
Hold on, real quick. Who would you rather have? Who do you want
final?
Yeah.
I'd rather England because if we have Denmark, I think we'll lose. I think Denmark will pull the Cinderella story. Like, and again, I mentioned this before. Like we started, if they win, I wouldn't be. And I'm not cheering against Italy. Everyone's like, oh, you have such belief of Italy. What kind of fan are you? It's not that. I feel like Denmark deserve it more because they fought their way 2 games into the Euros. They were bottom of their table.
Yep.
Lost one of the great players, and I'm telling you, this is going to be on some TSN feature, whatever. They're going to make a documentary out of this or whatever. They're going to do something with this. So I'd rather England because we can beat those blokes or those Gordon Ramsay mother effers, whatever, and kind of prove, to listen, we're dominant, we can do it. You guys choke once again, and there you go, right?
That would be the perfect ending to this. But I would also rather England beat Denmark because again, when you're an underdog team and you make a final, you're not losing.
They will
win it.
Everything. They'll die they will die.
Remember, Greece beat a Portugal team with Luis Figo, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Deco, and so many other superstars.
Yeah.
The Danes beat Germany, who were one of the best teams in the world at the time. I think they'd just come off winning the World Cup. I could be wrong about that, but if you look at those two, they beat 2 teams that are way better than them, but it didn't matter. Because you have the underdog team already, and then you have the Christian Eriksen thing. So I've said this the whole tournament. They're operating on emotional energy. And with as passionate and as Italy is and all the fans we have, emotional energy overpowers any sort of passion from any other angle. So I think that if Denmark get to the final, there's no reason they shouldn't be certain that they're going to win it because of how everything played out in this tournament. Because it's not only that they were bottom of the group and then they qualified. If they beat Russia 2-1, they wouldn't have made it either. They needed to smash Russia to bits to even make it. So I think England. I think if England make the final, though, I think Italy will beat them because they're gonna clip up all the quotes that all these people have been saying about Italy, and they're just gonna be. Italy's gonna go into the game so pissed and they're going to want to sort of reverse the Italy-Spain Euro final from long ago. And this time Italy beats England 4-0 at Wembley because that would be incredible. Yeah. So I really hope England win, not only for that, but because quite frankly, if Denmark make the final, I don't think you could put the best team in the history of the world against them and they're still going to win. Yeah. So I'm really hoping England win just because if they don't, I think we're going to have to win the World Cup instead.
Yeah, exactly. Either or. But yeah, so this concludes this episode. Again, we hope England beat Denmark so we can play them. But if Denmark, those Vikings, they will overtake Italy. It's just the way it is. I can't see Italy beating Denmark if that happens, which I hope Italy do take this Euro, so fingers crossed.
So do I. I want Italy to win as well. Yes. But if Denmark ends up winning, I'll be happy for them.
Yes.
I'll just say that. I'll say that. I want Italy to win, obviously.
Yes.
But I don't know how you could not be happy for Denmark if they're able to do this. Yeah. Because of everything that happened and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I do think Italy, I do want Italy to win. I actually do think they will win.
Yeah.
And as long, again, they just don't play the way they did today.
Yeah.
Don't even watch the game. Rewatch the Belgian game. This is how we need to play.
Yeah.
And but it's going to be a tense final regardless of who's there. And I hope Italy stands on that mountain and gets an opportunity to prove me wrong about the whole World Cup theory.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yes. Let's hope. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Next time we'll be tuning in. We will talk about the final. We'll talk about everything, win or lose. So tune in next time with 3Calcioteers. Ciao, ragazzi. See you next time.